What if you could live a life of more enjoyment, more fulfillment, and more purpose? And what if it was as simple as changing one question? And that question is, what if? Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is joemotion, and I am a life coach and a conscious content creator, and I'm looking to inspire, empower, and uplift as many people as possible through the content that I'm making and through the power of mindset and transformation. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about a single question that every one of us asks really regularly on a daily basis, that it can often go unchecked and wreak havoc in our lives, and how we can actually change this question, switch it up, and it can become a superpower for us. And so, as I said, the simple question that many of us ask on a daily basis is the question, what if? Ultimately, what if is our mind going off into an imaginary scenario and predicting or imagining a certain possibility or a future event. At its root, what if is the beginning of a story. It is the beginning of a story that we might create in our minds about what is going to happen, about our position in the world, and about something that we might experience. And the challenge is that for many of us, when we are asking the question, what if, it is followed by the worst case scenario, or at least something that really doesn't make us feel good. And this is the reason that so many of us get caught up, overwhelmed, stressed out, and feeling anxious about certain situations. And the reason that this happens is because the brain is very imaginative, and over our millions and millions of years of evolution, we have developed a certain survival response that tells us to predict and prepare for a certain environment, for a certain situation, by trying to predict it so that we can be better prepared for it when it comes up. And so as a result, we as human beings with a very hyperactive and vivid imagination often predict the worst case scenario because we can then prepare for it. And so at its core, this function is actually quite useful, and we do need it sometimes to be able to help us survive and to be able to prepare for certain situations. But it becomes very unhelpful when we start to go into overdrive about all of the worst things that could possibly happen. And that is when the question of what if we go about it unconsciously, can take control and wreak havoc in our lives. And the reason that it can cause so much damage is because when we are imagining the worst case scenario, we are actually activating a stress response in our body. Our body goes into a fight or flight mode. And when it does that, it is preparing for a survival situation. And so it mobilizes huge amounts of energy in our body, into our muscles, into pumping blood around us so that we can fight, we can run, or we can hide. And when we do that, our body is mobilizing energy from different parts of our body that it might otherwise be using. And so one example of that is our digestive system and also your immune system, because if you're in a fight response or a flight response, your body needs as much energy as possible. It doesn't need to be healing. It doesn't need to be giving energy to your immune system. You're thinking about surviving right here and right now. And again, in a survival situation, this is very useful because it allows us to mobilize large amounts of energy. But when we are activating this same stress and survival response consistently over a long period of time, it can cause really, really harmful and detrimental effects on our body. As human beings, we are constantly asking the question, what if, followed up by the worst case scenario. And even if we are not in a stressful or a survival situation, we create those same chemicals in our body. And if we continue to do this over a long period of time, it's going to cause disharmony and dysregulation in the body. And while that all sounds doom and gloom, it's just to really hammer it home that it's really important to change this. It's really important to switch up the what ifs, because we all ask what if on a daily basis. We're always imagining and trying to predict certain aspects of the future. But it is your response to that question that matters and determines how you're going to feel ultimately. And you have the power to be able to switch up the what ifs that you're asking, the stories that you're running about the future, and change those so that you can have a more positive and fulfilling experience of life. And this is so, so important and so empowering. And it really is as simple as switching up those thoughts, because it is the thoughts that you have that create an emotional response in your body. That is what you feel, that is your experience. And if you have certain emotions, your body is already in that state. It is likely to create more thoughts that are equal to those emotions. And as a result, we get caught up in this thinking and feeling loop, this cycle. And if we want to change our experience of our life, we have to get in the middle of that cycle. We have to break the pattern and change something. So here's an activity I invite you to do. Get a pen and a piece of paper, and I want you to draw a line down the middle of the paper. And on the first column, I want you to write all of the what ifs and all of the stories and worst possible scenarios that are causing you the most stress and anxiety on a daily basis. Write all of those down in that first column. And then in the next column, I want you to write down the new thought, the new what if that you would like to have instead. So that when that thought inevitably comes up, that negative what if, you know already what you want to switch it to, and you get to make that decision. And I would emphasize the importance of focusing on what you can control with that what if. So when we're thinking of a what if, we're imagining a scenario, and what you have control over in that scenario is your thoughts, your perception, and your actions. And so if you can set the intention for how you want to go into a certain situation, rather than how that situation is going to turn out, it can actually calm and ease that part of your body that gets fearful, because you are focusing on what you can control, which is your intention, which is your thoughts, your words, your actions, your beliefs, your perceptions. All of those you have control over. You do not have complete control over the outcome over all external situations. So when you're choosing new what ifs, try and change it to what you can control, and you're going to be able to feel more empowered going into those situations. So once you have this list of those new what ifs, that pattern interrupt, that switch up that you want to make, it's time to put it into practice. Those what ifs that you've written down are inevitably going to come up on a daily basis, and probably some new ones as well. As you go through this process, you will likely notice new what ifs coming up for you that you didn't even know were there. But once again, be compassionate with yourself. Know that that is absolutely okay, and that is part of the process, and you simply get to choose to switch that up, to choose a new what if that is more empowering for you. And it is this overcoming process that is going to allow you to be able to create real change and real transformation in how you feel, in your state of being, and ultimately your experience of life. And once you do this, once you really catch yourself in the act of having a certain thought that doesn't make you feel good, and you stop that process and you create a new one, you're creating an upward spiral of momentum that's going to take your life to new heights that are more positive, more beneficial, more fulfilling, more energizing, and more joyful for you. And once you start doing this, people will notice it as well, and you will notice when other people are not doing it, and you will be able to inspire and empower those people to be able to do the same by being the example, by being the change that you want to see in the world. And all of this starts with a really simple question: what if? What if your life could be more fulfilling, more empowering, more inspiring, more uplifting, more positive, more joyful, more free, more energized, more revitalized, more full of life? What if that is possible? And the truth is, it is for you. If you just make the decision that you are going to change your mindset, you're going to change your perspective on this and have a new experience of life. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I'm trying to bring as much value as possible, so I really appreciate your feedback. If you did like this video, it would really help if you could like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend maybe. Anything that you feel compelled to do to be able to support me in my mission to uplift and empower others. And until the next video, stay authentic, stay connected, keep asking new questions, keep changing your what ifs, change your life one day at a time, and see the impact that that has on you and the people around you. I really wish you all the best, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.